conditions, majority bearish, sitting at 11 and 3, starting to shift back up just a little bit here. We've moved now from that 12 and 2, 13 and 1, moving back up to 11 and 3. So we're getting the shorter, what that means is these shorter term trends and price itself. We know that price is pushed back up into this level and that 5,500 level. So price is sitting right around here. This just gives us that perspective of what is the trend doing. We also are getting a confirmation bar here on S&P futures, and we're seeing that a weekly time frame shift back to majority bullish. It was sitting at 7 and 7, so we're seeing some support right here, some bullishness off of this move. Now, lots of volatility. This is our real volatile move right here, holding this 236 location, and now it's retesting this 50% location of this swing high point and swing low point. This is our counter trend move now that we're dealing with. Counter trend. This is still our bullish trend moving higher here. It's retraced. This is the weekly time frame, pulled back to that 50% level, which is this area. And so now we're tucked right up underneath that 5,500 level. That's a really significant area of resistance. I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see it at least pull back and test that 53 and then maybe look for, gather the troops to be able to see if the bulls can push that through that level, and that may happen sooner than later if we get a little bit of FOMO. If investors, traders are trying, feel like they're missing out, going to jump back in to the market. But we're definitely getting some bottoming formation starting to happen here. S&P 500 closed out yesterday at 11 and 3. You can see that that bar shifting back into bullish momentum. It's not in the momentum zone, which is in that upper range of the chart pattern, but it is shifting back into bullish momentum. Ideally, if it would break up above and hold this level, then we could get a real structural shift, and if it could hold up above that 55.20 area and then create some support here, that'd be a lot more bullish type of format to be able to really start to add back in aggressively at these levels. We could see some counter trend shift back down, but be aware of these levels still having that bearish tone. Be watching for any retrace and pullback, see how they react to these levels, and those could also be areas for additional accumulation on pullbacks. Let's look at the breadth here, because we did see breadth improve. We're seeing that move back to 32 now, and off of those really deep oversold ranges in that 10 area. VIX also shifting back down into that bearish trend set, getting a couple of red bars right there. Very extended, as we know, and it is an up and down oscillator. So we're going to get really choppy looking price pattern, but pulling back into that under that 30 range, back into the 20s. If we could continue to see volatility start to pull back and markets continue to strengthen, we could see some continuation of this move right here. SHY continuing that majority bullish trend higher. The weekly time frame here, you can see that bond yield move, or that bond moving higher. The yield on that should be trending lower slightly here in the last, this is a little bit longer time frame, so going back to 2023. So we're seeing that starting to happen here. Shorter term downtrends here in yields. Also, let's look at TLT. TLT still quite bearish, majority bearish here at 13 and 1 on the daily time frame and 14 on the weekly time frame. The rates on that still in that overall uptrend here as well. This is when we have this real tight compression. This happened the last couple of days. It bumped from majority bullish back to majority bearish. So we're really at a tight compression. That the interesting thing is going to be, are we going to expand this direction or this direction? And time will tell on that, but we are pulling back. Markets are going to want to see rates continue to pull back here in the bond market. So far, so good on that today as well. Dow Jones Industrial Average looking for some support at these levels. Similar structure to the S&P 500, a potential rally up and retest that. Watch for some volatility retracements, pullback, see who's defending what. If we get kind of quiet selling here where it just pulls back lightly, or if we get aggressive selling to the downside, and then watch to see how these bullish locations start to hold up. Triple Qs also moving back into some bullish momentum. And also running into that 50% retracement. Russell 2000, similar type format here. So you're seeing, really some shifting starting to take place, a bottoming formation, and now we've got some areas that we can look for, some structural shifts to say we shouldn't break back down through these entire levels. All of this price formation should start to defend this case. But again, we're pretty extended, could start to move back up, and start to retrace back down. So not out of the woods yet as far as the shorter term volatility, what a churning out a bottom looks like. USO bouncing, majority bearish here. They're still at 13, holding this 69.80 range to 66 range on USO, which is the ETF. GLD getting a little bit of a retracement and pullback right here. I've still got the weekly time frame on this, so we can see how extended we are in gold, pulling back some, as markets rally and a little bit of the fear kind of comes back out of the market, we may see gold start to soften a little bit. We'll watch to see that momentum zone, if that holds up and stays in that 299 range. Again, on GLD is what we're looking at here. That's the ETF for gold. Silver had that good confirmation bar moving back into bullish momentum as well. And the dollar also moving up just a little bit here. And again, dollar, if we can see some dollar strengthening as well, we'll probably see gold start to pull back just a little as well. A couple of stock ideas to consider. Some of these big names are starting to shift here as well. Which one was it? It was Microsoft starting to see some support now off of these levels. So you may start to see some of these big cap names stabilizing, forming bottoms. Again, they all look exactly like the market because basically these stocks are the market, and seeing some support, but you can see how deeply oversold we still are on a lot of those names. And I pulled in this QBTS. This is in that quant space. Doesn't have a confirmation bar, but it's one of these ones that can, once it starts to move, getting a little volume coming in, may have a test up above that 7. Could see another little rally here. And we start to see some bullish momentum start to come into some of these trades. We're seeing gold names in there still continuing to look bullish, Newmont Mining, and several other biotechs that are a little bit deeper in retracement. Actually starting to see some semiconductor names come here. AEVA, nice pattern. We've actually got a buy set up on that one for today. Nice confirmation bar. Not massive volume, but starting to work that direction. So a few names out there starting to trickle into that buy list, and market conditions starting to show a little bit of strength right here at these levels. Keep an eye on that 50% retracement on S&P futures right around that, right where we're at, 5,500. That'll do it for today's update. Everyone have a fantastic day and a great weekend.